My name's Emma Van Horn, and I'll be sharing this week's First Chapter Friday. This week's First Chapter Friday is Ground Zero by Alan Gratz. Here's a little about the book. Two kids, one devastating day. Nothing will ever be the same. September 11th, 2001, New York City. Brandon is visiting his dad at work. On the 107th floor of the World Trade Center, out of nowhere, an airplane slams into the tower, creating a fiery nightmare of terror and confusion. And Brandon is in the middle of it all. Can he survive and escape? September 11th, 2019, Afghanistan. Reshmana has grown up in the shadow of war, but she dreams of peace and progress. When a battle erupts in her village, Reshmana stumbles upon a wounded American soldier named Taz. Should she help Taz and put herself and her family in mortal danger? Now read the first chapter. How we survive. Brandon Chavez was in trouble. He should have been at school this morning, taking his seat by the window and sharing a new skateboarding magazine with his friends. Instead, he sat next to his dad on a crowded subway train, heading from Brooklyn into Manhattan. Brandon wasn't allowed to go to school today. He was suspended. Shoom! Brandon jumped as the train burst from its underground tunnel into the full light of day for its climb to the Manhattan Bridge. It was a bright, blue, clear September morning, and he squinted from the sudden sun. Beside him, his father folded up the newspaper he'd been reading. Okay, Brandon, when are we going to talk about this? Brandon did not want to talk about getting suspended. He hadn't talked during dinner last night or at breakfast this morning. Now, Brandon could feel the silence, like an invisible thing that had squeezed in between them on the sit and was pushing them apart. His dad turned to face him. Leo Chavez wasn't a big man, but he had a stocky chest and strong arms. Brandon thought he would have made a good professional wrestler. There was a quiet power in his dad, and Brandon could feel that power directed at him now. I get a call at work from your school, and I'm thinking, is Brandon sick? Did he crack his head open doing stunts on the playground? His dad said, but no, they're calling to tell me my son punched another kid in the nose. He deserved it, Brandon said. All his anger and frustration from yesterday came flooding back as he turned to his father. Cedric brought these Wolverine gloves to school, like from the X-Men movie, and Stuart Pendleton stole them and wouldn't give them back. So you punched Stuart in the nose. He wasn't going to give them back. What was I supposed to do? Brandon's dad sighed. I don't know, Brandon. Talk to him, tell a teacher or something? Talk to him. You couldn't talk to a bully like Stuart Pendleton. And telling a teacher might have gotten Cedric his gloves back, but Stuart would have just beaten Brandon up for telling later on. You don't understand, Brandon told his dad. I understand enough to know that punching him wasn't the answer. His dad said, and the principal told me that this other boy you were trying to help, his toy got broken in the fight. Brandon brightened. He had a plan to fix that part, at least. But before he could explain, his dad kept talking. I had to leave work early yesterday, Brandon. You know we can't afford for me to miss any more hours. Things are tight enough as they are. Brandon nodded and stared out the train window. That was why he was going to work with his dad this morning. Brandon's father couldn't take a sick day, and there was nobody else to stay home and watch him. The Q train rattled up onto the Manhattan Bridge, and Brandon saw the World Trade Center in the distance. It was hard to miss. The gray rectangular twin towers stood more than twice as tall as the other skyscrapers around them at the southern end of Manhattan. The two towers were almost identical, except for the huge red and white antenna on the roof of the North Tower. That was where Brandon's dad worked. He was a kitchen manager at a restaurant called Windows of the World at the very top of the North Tower on the 107th floor. Brandon, what do we say about us, about you and me? His dad asked. Brandon gave the answer that had been drilled into him since his mother died from cancer 5 years ago, when he was only 4. We're a team, he said. We're a team, his dad repeated. That's what we've always said. This is how we survive, right? Together. That's what we've always said. It's you and me against the world. But you shut me out on this one. You let down the team. The disappointment in his father's voice was like a punch in the gut, and Brandon felt tears come to his eyes. It hurt way more than if his dad had just been mad at him. The train went underground again, and the bright blue sky disappeared. After a quick transfer to the R train, Brandon and his dad got off their stop. They climbed to the subway stairs into the underground mall below the World Trade Center plaza. The mall was already packed by 8:15 a.m., with long breakfast lines at Alba Payne and the coffee station. Brandon trailed along behind his dad, lost in his thought. He wishes he could have a do-over, go back in time, and make a different decision. But even if he could go back, what would he do differently? Stuart Pendleton deserved to get a punch in the nose. I still don't think I should have been suspended, Brandon told his dad as they cut through the bustling crowd. 5 subway lines at the PATH train from New Jersey all stopped at stations below the mall, and 3 different exits led up to Manhattan streets. So, you think you can just go around punching people you don't like? His dad asked. If they're bullies, yes, Brandon said. They turned left at the Warner Bros. Store, with its big statues of Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny, but he hardly noticed them today. There are rules, Brandon, his dad said as they headed for the escalators at the far end of the mall. You punch somebody, you get suspended, no matter why you did it. Your actions have to have consequences. If they didn't, you'd be the bully. Brandon couldn't believe what he was hearing. Him, the bully? That's what a bully is, his dad said. Somebody who pushes people around and never gets in trouble for it. Brandon frowned as he and his dad got on the escalator. He wasn't the bully here. Stuart Pendleton was the bully. Do you think Brandon was the bully? Find out more and check Ground Zero out in the school library.